The tinsel still shimmered, a gaudy garland mocking the somber silence that had descended upon the Ramsey household. Christmas morning had bled into a nightmare, the scent of pine needles and gingerbread replaced by the acrid tang of fear. JonBenét, all of 6 years old, a radiant sprite with a crown of blonde curls and a stage presence that belied her age, was gone. Not simply away, but vanished, plucked from her bed in the opulent Boulder home that should have been her sanctuary. Then, December 26, 1996, etched itself onto the American psyche, a date synonymous with innocence lost and justice denied. JonBenét was found dead in the basement, and the case became a gaping wound in the heart of true crime history. The first crack in the facade of normalcy came with the frantic call. At 5:52 a.m., Patsy's voice, a raw rasp of panic, sliced through the 911 dispatcher's calm. "My daughter's missing. We have a ransom note." The words tumbled out, disjointed and desperate. A ransom of $118,000. An oddly specific figure, mirroring John's recent bonus, a detail that would later twist in the spotlight of suspicion. Police sirens wailed, piercing the pre-dawn stillness. Officers swarmed the Ramsey residence, a hive of activity in the quiet suburban street. But in the chaotic aftermath, crucial errors were made. The crime scene in its nascent stage was compromised. Friends, family, well-meaning but intrusive, were allowed to wander through the house, their footprints and fingerprints blurring the delicate tapestry of potential evidence. Hours crawled by, each one a leaden weight pressing down on hope. Then, in the late afternoon, John Ramsey, his face etched with a desperate mix of grief and determination, re-entered the basement. He had been asked to search again. And there, in a dimly lit corner, draped with a stark white blanket that seemed to mock the festive decorations still lingering upstairs, he found her, JonBenét. The blanket was pulled back, revealing a scene that would sear itself into the minds of investigators and the public alike. Duct tape clamped brutally across her small mouth. A length of white cord cinched tightly around her neck. Nearby lay a broken paintbrush, splintered and frayed, a makeshift garrote, a cruel, bizarre weapon in a child's murder. Upstairs, the ransom note lay on the kitchen counter, a disturbing script that would become a central character in this tragic play. 2.5 pages long, an anomaly in the typically brief, functional demands of kidnappers. The language was theatrical, almost performative, filled with dramatic threats and bizarre pronouncements. "This matter is not a game," it declared, demanding absolute secrecy and unwavering obedience. It was penned on Patsy's own notepad, found inside the house, suggesting the perpetrator had taken their time, a chillingly brazen act, if indeed an intruder. The $118,000 demand, echoing John's bonus, hung in the air, a pointed accusation. The autopsy report painted a grim picture. Asphyxiation by strangulation, the official cause of death. But that was not all. A severe skull fracture, inflicted by a blunt force trauma, was also listed. She had been struck hard, violently. There was no definitive proof of assault, but the report noted signs of prior injuries, a vague phrase that fueled speculation and whispered anxieties. And then there was the pineapple. Undigested pineapple found in her stomach contents, hours after her parents insisted she hadn't eaten any that evening. A small detail, yet another discordant note in the unfolding symphony of suspicion. The investigation became a swirling vortex of theories and accusations, with the Ramsey family at its epicenter. John and Patsy, thrust into the harsh glare of the media spotlight, became pariahs in the court of public opinion. Their initial grief quickly curdled into defensiveness, fueled by their decision to hire lawyers almost immediately, and their perceived lack of full cooperation with the police. The public watched, scrutinized every interview, every gesture, searching for cracks in their carefully constructed public image. Patsy's handwriting became a focal point, analyzed and reanalyzed, compared to the looping, dramatic script of the ransom note. Similarities were found, enough to raise eyebrows, but not enough for a definitive match. Her fervent denials, her unwavering insistence on an intruder, were met with skepticism and distrust. Burke Ramsey, JonBenét's older brother, just 9 years old, became another figure in the grim tableau. Whispers circulated about sibling rivalry, childhood jealousy. The theory emerged: could Burke, in a fit of childish anger, have struck JonBenét with a blunt object, causing the fatal head injury? And could the parents, desperate to protect their surviving child, have then staged the ransom note and the scene to cover up a tragic accident? Burke's later interviews, particularly his unsettling smile while discussing his sister's murder, did little to quell the public's unease. Yet the intruder theory persisted, clinging to the edge of possibility. A small basement window, slightly ajar, was pointed to as evidence of forced entry. But the freshly fallen snow outside remained undisturbed, pristine, no telltale footprints leading to or from the house. Then came the DNA, a modern siren song of forensic science. Unidentified male DNA, found on JonBenét's underwear and under her fingernails. For years, it remained a phantom clue, tantalizing and ultimately frustrating. Finally, in 2008, this very DNA evidence became the Ramsey family's unlikely salvation. Based on the DNA profile, they were officially cleared of suspicion, a legal exoneration, yet far from an absolution in the public's mind. The case continued to attract a macabre cast of characters. John Mark Carr, a schoolteacher from Thailand, burst onto the scene with a sensational confession, claiming responsibility for JonBenét's murder. But his DNA did not match. His confession crumbled under scrutiny, revealed as a desperate bid for notoriety, a cruel mockery of the search for truth. Linda Hoffman Pugh, the Ramseys' housekeeper, surfaced as another shadow in the periphery. She knew the house intimately and reportedly struggled financially, lending credence to the ransom note angle. But evidence against her remained circumstantial, flimsy. And so the theories multiplied, each a tangled thread in the labyrinth of the case. The accidental death cover-up, Patsy's ransom note, the phantom intruder slipping through a basement window, a sexual predator lurking in the shadows of Boulder society, preying on an innocent child. Each theory held a kernel of possibility. None offered definitive closure. The questions remained, sharp and unanswered, echoing through the years. Who wrote the ransom note, that bizarre theatrical missive? Why did the police, in their initial response, mishandle the crime scene so profoundly? Why did the Ramseys, with their wealth and influence, not fully cooperate with the investigation, choosing instead to circle the wagons and retreat behind a wall of lawyers? And that DNA, that ghost in the machine, whose did it belong to? Could new forensic technologies, constantly advancing, finally unlock the secrets hidden within the evidence, offering a measure of resolution, however belated? Decades have passed. Snow has fallen and melted countless times on that quiet Boulder street. The tinsel has long been packed away, the festive cheer replaced by the cold, hard reality of an unsolved murder. The JonBenét Ramsey case remains a chilling enigma, a testament to the fallibility of memory, the elusiveness of truth, and the enduring power of unanswered questions. No one has been brought to justice. The Ramsey family, though cleared legally, remain forever bound to the tragedy, their lives irrevocably marked. Investigators, driven by a persistent need for closure, still sift through the cold case files, searching for a spark, a breakthrough, a whisper of truth in the silence. But for now, in the annals of true crime, JonBenét's story remains a haunting question mark, etched in blood and unanswered prayers.